All right. Brew some coffee, pour a cup. It's time for some more coffee talk.
It's Baschamania! Let me tell you something, brother. He gave us everything he had in him tonight. What you gonna do when Baschamania runs wild on you? Oh, it's gonna be a good one. And business just picked up here on the podcast. Oh, yeah.
And this is episode 100. Baschamania.
Wow, big time.
100. Triple digits now.
I'm super happy that I'm part of it. I'm grateful just to be here, really.
Yeah, initially I'm thinking super show, 10 guests, 5 guests, whatever. I'm like, you know what? This is just coffee talk. There has been so much.
Let's just keep it simple,
on.
Man.
Right. The last 2 weeks has been wild, which is why there was no episode last week. I guess we'll start there. PRTC people reached out to me and said, hey, on Wednesday, they said, hey, will you come and commentate or help commentate Friday night? And I'm like, I'm not a commentator. Well, you ask questions all the time. I'm like, let me think about it. And this guy, Kevin, is the one who reached out to me. Then Slay reached out to me, and it was like a domino effect. So now I'm like, okay, Chendo's wrestling. Mark Hall's wrestling. It's a 5-hour drive. It's not bad. I'll come down. That was just an absolute. And so I was anticipating maybe getting an episode out that weekend. I traveled all day Saturday. It was just, I know you were in Philly for a couple days. It was wild.
No, I left immediately after.
Oh, did you?
oh yeah.
I was looking for you before the event. I always hate talking to wrestlers like before matches. I hate it. Like I actually was coming back from the bathroom and I saw you talking to someone over like by the snack bar.
Okay.
And by the time I got back over there,
you
were gone.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I like to stay completely out of the way when people are wrestling. And then after I didn't see you, but that was.
It would have been nice if we could have had a little chat afterwards. But
I know.
Wasn't in the cards.
It was also awkward timing wise because I feel like and it's a primetime wrestling event, I get it. But if it would have been like during the day, we could have went to dinner or something. Like the event ended at 10:30, so it's kind of like, all right. But
I got back home at like 3. Like it was.
Oh, you drove straight home?
Yeah, Thompson drove. I didn't drive.
Okay. I knew you were up late. You texted me at like 1, and I had passed out at like 12:30. But that was an interesting event. They think want me back for the next one. I'm not a fan of those kind of interviews like post match because you have 6 minutes, give or take, if there's a tech less, to prepare sets of questions for both athletes that aren't, how are you feeling? How did you do that move?
Did you start any with, hey, you got time? Got some time?
No, I was overthinking it. I was like, let's say Mitch Feinsilver, he's wrestling. I'm thinking about questions about the fact that he's not competing in the U.S. Olympic trials. He's competing for Israel. So what's coming up next for him, for his fans to follow him like that? Like I'm trying to think of like the next level.
Right.
By far the funniest interview though was Evan Henderson.
I heard it was good. I didn't see it though.
He just wanted to keep on talking. And I'm like, I'm not interrupting him. This is great. Like I was asking him how he's staying in good shape through quarantine and COVID. And he started telling this whole story about chopping wood and chopping trees down. I'm like, oh, he might have to come on Coffee Talk soon. Like this is cool.
Oh, I would love to have Hendo on the show at some point.
Yeah.
I was talking to him there too. Funny story. So I used to, whenever he was, I don't know, probably like a freshman, sophomore in college. And one of my buddies wrestled out in Kiski, which is where Evan Henderson and his brother went to school. So over the summer, I'd go like work out with them occasionally. And I remember one time, like that, Evan was a good wrestler, and I was in high school. He beat me up pretty good. And I remember one practice we were wrestling, and I hit a really nice super duck on him. Just ducked him from the open. And we were talking about it at the event too. And then he just beat the crap out of me for like a good bit after that. Just let me have it. And,
it's funny how much wrestlers remember certain things like that. Like, remember that time?
Yeah,
super duck.
Yeah, it was like I remember the exact day and everything, and I remember.
And that was what, like
I remember the aftermath a lot.
8 years ago?
Probably. Yeah, probably like 6 to 8. Yeah, 8 years ago.
Yeah, that was wild. It was a good event. I think the way they put it on. I haven't watched it. I know you didn't like the outcome of the event, but
I don't think I ever will. I'll probably never watch that.
Yeah, I don't like watching myself, and if I've seen something, the only exception I ever make to watching a live event that I was at is usually NCAA's. I love watching those after semis and finals the next day.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of watching myself get my ass kicked, so I'm gonna stay away from that one for a little bit.
Will you watch yourself if you win?
No, I don't really watch those either.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. So I might do the next one. We'll see. It's going to be the end of February, allegedly. It's just so much. It's like so much work. Like the event was Friday. We had to drive down early Friday morning, drive back Saturday morning. It was a 5-hour drive each way. The whole day, I'm just kind of like going through all the competitors, trying to think of stuff. It's like preparing for 10 mini podcast episodes.
Yeah. And
so it's a lot of work.
And like, you don't know who's going to win the match either.
Correct.
So you got to prep for both guys afterwards and all that.
And I feel like so many of the matches, or at least like maybe half of them, I'm not only rooting for people like you and Mark, but I'm also rooting for people that I think might be better questions. Like if it's a PRTC guy, I want a PRTC guys to win because it's a PRTC event and you can talk about what it means to compete, all that stuff. And then you got to be prepared. Like I was talking to Joey about it because Joey's commentating and he's like, if a PRTC guy loses, he's kind of like frozen, or if he wins, he's all excited. So it's like, let's say you or Mark Hall, match doesn't go the way you guys or I want it to, and now I got to interview the other guy. And it's like, Nate Jackson's a great guy, McFadden's a great kid. Absolutely, but it's like, I'm thinking in my head, like, I didn't necessarily want you to win here. Now let me ask you questions.
Oh, man. No, and hats off to both those guys. They both wrestled very well, I think, in that event. I actually warmed up with Nate, too. I never really wrestled around with him. He is some good stuff, man. He's a goer too.
Yeah, that match definitely surprised me. I mean, you and McFadden, I think when I was watching you guys wrestling, he looked so much bigger. I don't know what the weights were, but I feel like with Mark and Nate, I was just like, I was stunned. Like Nate's a great competitor, and we keep saying it on this podcast how good he is. I just didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, he just keeps proving it too. Like every time he goes out.
Yeah.
Like he's exciting to watch. He has some really cool, interesting leg attacks. His knee drive, whenever he's getting in on shots, if they stuff him on the first one, he just keeps knee pounding. I think that makes him really good too. Yeah, man, he's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, and he said after I'd asked him, I can't remember what exactly I asked him, but he was talking about how he's never had that kind of big win where he gets the win in like the very end of the match, last 20 seconds, last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think when you can start doing that, you're really elevating your craft even more. The Olympic trials is going to be the last chance at 86 is going to be nuts with him, Gabe. I've heard Joey was telling me that if NCAA's for some reason gets canceled, that it's going to be top 3 at last chance to.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too. That makes sense. Just with that extra spot from nationals, you'll have a lot more college guys going. Well.
Yeah. So on the senior level, next up, NLWC card was announced. First match, Nolf and Dake are wrestling.
Yeah.
I know some of the other matches, but they're not announced. So we'll just talk about Nolf, Dake. Right. I've heard from everybody who is either going to be on this card or who's around this event that this is going to be just a stupid event.
Yeah, it's going to be stupid awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm excited. Obviously, I can't wait to get back in there and, compete again. Wasn't super thrilled with my last performance. Not hopefully, but this one will be at a lower weight, which will be good for me. I made a bonehead decision, decided to start getting my weight down a little too early, I think.
A little
and
too early before
a
the
little,
last match.
yeah. I was kind of light, but it is what it is. You got to go compete no matter what. I'm not gonna use that as an excuse, obviously.
Yeah,
But
but it was also like the first time in a while. Like I can't remember if I was asking you or somebody about the Mark Hall match and how much of a factor just that when you're not into a rhythm of competing, how much it impacts you. And I was talking to Roman the other day about it too, how he's having such an interesting and different time, like trying to train versus not overtrain and trying to always be ready when you don't know when COVID's going to strike in a like on the college scene. Penn State, Michigan's canceled this weekend. Like you don't know when you're competing on the senior level, you're getting these opportunities that pop up that you can't prepare for. Like now you're going to start preparing for the NLWC card, the last chance, all these things. But it's like, do you think any of that just was rust, just you not in that normal routine of competing?
Yeah, I definitely think I might have rushed back from my knee a little bit also, just like not like the actual structure of my knee or anything like that was in jeopardy, but just like getting into shape. I kind of tried to go really hard and get back into shape right away, which I think that kind of crushed me a little bit. But you just gotta figure things out, you roll with the punches. All I know is that for me, I'm just gonna stay disciplined, stay on my shit pretty much, and just keep doing what I'm doing. And like hopefully, I will be more, because I have things that are planned now. We have this NLWC event where hopefully we get a couple matches in. And then tournament time starts in March. So now I have like a clear schedule of what I'm going to be doing. So should be pretty good on a regimented plan for that.
I'm never a person to talk match specifics, but I'm curious at one thing of your match.
Go ahead.
After you won the challenge, and then I think McFadden's corner tried challenging the result of the challenge.
Yeah, I don't.
And you were saying like, let's go, like 3-4 times.
Yeah.
Were you frustrated? Like, what was that? Like, I was so curious. I'm like, man, I don't know if Cenzo's pissed. Like, I know doesn't seem like he's wrestling the way he wants, but it was like, I heard you like say, let's go like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to keep going at that point. Like, I didn't want, I mean, obviously, it didn't really work out for me. He was ready to go the whole time.
Yeah.
I wanted to put pressure on and just wrestle hard. And like, I was definitely, frustrated and not, wrestling like myself and kind of geeking out in my head a little bit. But, I mean, that's all right. That's why we do those. That's why we do those matches.
Yeah. And speaking of senior level and wrestling content and events, I want to talk about Flow buying track.
Okay. I'm all for it.
I was called a moron yesterday. I was told my statement was asinine on Facebook. All I said was
I'm not on Facebook, so
I don't blame you. All I said was this could be good for the wrestling community.
I think so too.
And I stand by that. And the comments are like, well, Flow's monopoly now. And
have you ever heard of ESPN? Like, I don't understand, because that's, if Flow has track, that's just one less subscription. That's just it's everything's more focused on one site. You don't need to go somewhere else. You don't need to pay more money. I don't understand the issue.
Correct. And I think as of late, Track and Flow haven't been competing that much.
No, they haven't.
Track has been focusing, it seems like from the outside, on their event management, and Flow has been stepping up streaming events. Track hasn't put on a single live event. They had the Hawkeye Wrestling Club one.
Showdown Open.
But it was so weird. But like, that was a Hawkeye Wrestling Club event. That wasn't Track putting on an event like Flow's doing.
Right.
So it's like, from a competition standpoint, I look at everybody on Rockfin as a bigger competitor, or even a podcast like this. I don't think we're Flow's competitor, but if you're talking trying to gain listenership and you have 30 podcasts, that's cutting more into people subscribing to you and consuming your content than I think Track. That's why I don't understand. Like,
yeah, I mean, Flow Wrestling definitely, they're monopoly, like being a monopoly, whatever. But like, I don't really see a problem with it. Like, who cares?
Right.
And it's like, if you pay that, like if you pay for Flow, then you didn't have to pay $30 for the Hawkeye Showdown Open. Then that's just in your subscription, right? Like,
right. And that's what I think that I think it's more talent, it's more resources into a company that, look, I've got my own beef with certain Flow personalities. I like some of them. Some of them annoy the piss out of me. Like,
yeah, we all do. We all do.
But you have to separate what Flow offers, which is an incredible streaming service, with some of the personalities. You don't have to like somebody's take on something, or you don't have to listen to FRL to appreciate what Flow does. And I think this is going to help elevate Flow to become even hopefully more mainstream. Like some of the comments, they're like, well, they should get a TV channel, or they should, well, like, are you guys suddenly like a business development specialist? Like, I don't understand where you're coming up with these ideas, but
everyone has all these ideas about how to make wrestling media better. Do it then.
Correct. I think I've been so busy with building this house, and we're like 2 weeks away from it being done, and it's just been nuts. So I haven't been able to engage in some of these conversations as much as I want to, but it's wild. Like, if people want to see something, do it. I wanted to see a podcast that had more direct feedback from wrestlers and wasn't just the same old stuff, which is why I started a podcast. I saw a girl tweeting yesterday, like, I need a job in wrestling ASAP.
I saw that tweet also.
And somebody was calling me as I saw it. I wanted to respond, like, what do you want to do? Like, go do it. Yeah. Like, I think there's going to be more jobs and things are going to pop up, but you're not in this day and age where you can do so many things. Nothing stops you from trying to create a job versus looking for one. And that's the beauty of like creating content and everything else. Like,
yeah, I think it's very cool when you put it that way, because you can just create jobs because content. And even with the cards and everything now, like, they're having you go commentate. That's just more jobs for people in wrestling, I think.
Right. And by the way, I didn't do that for money, or I didn't do that they said, what would it take to get you down here? I don't have that.
You said for the love of the game, baby.
Right. I think like that opportunity doesn't come up. If that's your goal, let's say to commentate, that doesn't happen without me just doing 99 episodes of a podcast first. Like, I kind of, you got to build your own resume, and I won't go off on the tangent of it, but everybody's like, they're afraid of doing stuff for free. Do it for free and show you can do it, and then the opportunities come. And I get people need a job, they need to make money, but you can always do something you don't like for the paycheck to buy you the time to do something for free that you can have fun. Like, I love doing this podcast, and now it's creating more and more opportunities.
I like doing this podcast also.
By the way, if you want to support this podcast,
look at that.
Coffee Talk teas are in. They're shipping. Your care package should go out Monday.
Beautiful.
With the Coffee Talk mugs. Those are, that was a disaster getting those.
Really?
Oh, it's just delays. Everybody, like, nobody has any accountability anymore. It's just COVID.
Yeah.
COVID.
Me and my buddy were talking about that the other day, how you can just make up an excuse for pretty much anything and just say COVID. And you don't have to show up for anything.
No, COVID. And
what an excuse, man.
They were supposed to deliver our fridge to the new house January 26th.
COVID.
They called my wife 2 days before and said, COVID, can we come out February 26th?
No.
1 month later?
Yeah.
What's the answer? COVID. It's like, I'm like, we'll pick it up Monday. Don't worry about it. So
yeah, we'll just get it done.
Yeah, I think Flow buying Track, acquiring Track, I think it's awesome. I'm curious to see how it rolls out. I think if Track can continue doubling down on the event management side of it, and Flow can continue to look at, I think Flow's running into a bit of a bottleneck with their personalities. You either love them or you hate them in many regards. So I think to widen that team,
I think they need more personalities too. Different. I think they need some different guys. I'm not saying they get rid of, the personalities they have.
Correct. Agreed.
But add a couple, maybe some more old fashioned type people. I don't know, man.
No, but like everybody has their, like, look at Barstool. Look at how many personalities they have. I only like a handful of them. I like Portnoy. I like Big Cat. I like Brandon Walker. Like, there's a few of them that I like compared to.
I don't like all the Barstool guys either, and it's just that's just kind of how it is for media.
Correct. So I think the more personalities, the better.
They're gonna have a bunch more employees now with track. I think it's a good situation. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. So all the flow haters, I empathize with some of your reasons, but you got to just pull up your big boy pants. Another thing we were texting about yesterday too was how many people how many people are actually complaining and carry a track subscription and not a flow subscription.
I don't know anybody.
Like, I don't either. Like, if you subscribe to track
subscription on flow,
if anybody does, tweet at us, let us know, DM us. But yeah, I think it's going to be good for the sport. I think it's going to create longevity in the sport. I think it's going to create more options in the sport. I think it's going to be a good thing. So, a lot going on in the college wrestling scene. But before that, real quick, because I know you follow the fight scene more than I do, 2 or 3 quick things. Number 1, Jose Canseco got knocked out in like 5 seconds last night. And he made like $1 million. Apparently, he got paid $50,000 to show, offered $50,000 to win, and had a pay-per-view share if they broke the pay-per-view records, which they allegedly shattered, Dave Portnoy said. Like, that's wild.
They're on the top. Yeah.
And
if you're
Portnoy tweeted out, like, there will be a morality clause the next time. Like, he basically chickened out. So that was nuts last night. Also, we were talking about Paige. She's in the bare knuckle.
I didn't like. So I hate watching bare knuckle boxing.
I don't watch it at all, but you brought it up, and then I happened to see the tweet that I sent you where Paige throws a knee, and I'm like, is that allowed?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think you could throw knees in boxing, but I don't even know if she won or not. I gotta go look into that. But
yeah, I don't either.
I saw like she was up in like a few fights last night, and it was getting late. Had a morning workout, so it was bedtime. But
yeah, I gotta look into that. I don't follow fight nearly much. One fight I am kind of interested in, and I'm also not interested in, is Jake Paul Ben Askren.
I'm a little more interested now than I was before.
We talked about. I am too. It's working. The marketing is working.
It is working. I
hate it. I hate that I'm invested in it. I hate that I'm probably gonna buy it now. You know,
we have John Broughton here too, and because he does the camera work for like Scrap Life and stuff, and he does filming for Ben Askren also. So like, I was like talking to him yesterday, and he's all pumped for it. So he was getting me.
John does awesome work. I was watching his
so good
NLWC video for the Henry Douglain.
Yeah, if you haven't checked that out, watch that.
Yeah, rockfin.com/NLWC. That was just amazing. And once you subscribe to the NLWC's Rockfin, then you can consume the video version of Baschamania and some other great content.
And you can just follow whatever channel you want.
Yeah. So John does awesome work. You know, I was kind of annoyed at first because it's like Jake Paul wants to be one of the best boxers, fighters in the world. Why would you go after a retired guy? Ben Askren's a great fighter, but he's retired and just had hip surgery. That was my initial like, why not go after someone who?
Because he sounds like an easy target, right? You know, he was a great fighter who didn't really box that much. Yeah. So he sounds like an easy target. But whenever I first heard about this, I was like, oh, Logan Paul. I've done a 180. I think Askren's gonna beat him.
Jake Paul.
Same person. One's like a couple years older, right?
Yeah, Logan's a little older.
But Logan Paul's fighting Floyd Mayweather.
No, that's on hold now. COVID.
Oh, COVID?
Okay.
That sounds about right.
So if Jake Paul beats Ben Askren, does his stock go up, or do you say, no. Ben,
you got to watch it.
So it depends on how it goes. Like, one thing I've always appreciated about Ben is the amount of content he puts out and he puts out engaging content. He doesn't automate anything. He sits there with a camera, whether it's a selfie video, like he puts out a lot of content. Now that he's showing himself training, I'm starting to buy into the fight a little bit because I'm just like, okay, can Ben train hard enough? And does Ben have enough leftover MMA skill? Because when he got his hip surgery, he's like, I'm done. I'll never fight again. I think that was right after he got knocked out by Masvidal. And I think he just said, I'm done forever. Now it sounds like he might make a comeback if this goes good, or I don't know. But I'm into it now. I think it's kind of silly, but I'm into it.
I don't know if he's going to try to make a full comeback or anything, but I'm into it. Let's go. I want to see Askren mix it up.
Yeah,
he's just such a competitor. So
yeah, he's definitely from a marketing standpoint too for Jake Paul to try to beat him. If you look at his accolades, if you look at his record, if you look at everything he's done, it makes sense that you'd be able to. This is a great setup fight for like a really, really good fight after this. If Jake wins, if he loses,
if Jake Paul wins and looks good, right? You can win, but like if they both look sloppy, then like who cares? But like if he comes out, throwing like crisp punches and stuff like that, then definitely, that's going to be a huge setup fight for him. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. So back to let's talk college wrestling a little bit. It's been such an interesting year. I'm having such a hard time like following it. Like I'm normally like I love college wrestling. I love it so much. This year's just been so it's interesting. It's difficult to follow with all this COVID stuff. Like Penn State, Michigan postponed for this Sunday, and then next weekend Penn State has Iowa at home. First duel of the year. Tom Brands has COVID. So I don't
no match COVID.
COVID. So it's so interesting. What has the vibe been like for you being around the guys? Like, what is their general consensus?
I think they're just kind of like they don't really know what's going on. So it's like I feel bad for them because it's like it's kind of difficult to be in the right mind state just to compete whenever everything's kind of up in the air. You don't know if you're wrestling. And they on Sunday they were supposed to come back home. Their flight got canceled, so then they drove to Wisconsin and wrestled Wisconsin on Tuesday.
That was awesome.
Like, I thought it was okay. I mean, like,
I just love to see like a duel. Like all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we're gonna wrestle Wisconsin Tuesday. Awesome, I'm here for it.
Right. I mean, it was something for me to watch, so it was cool.
And the extra matches, you gotta love the extra matches.
Yeah, I think Penn State won 15 matches.
I think they shut out Wisconsin aside from the forfeit.
Hey, Penn State is really, really, really good at coming back from starting in a hole. I will say we've had a lot of comeback victories while I was in college.
Would you say Penn State is one of the best teams to win when they're not supposed to win?
I don't think we were ever not supposed to win.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's more optimism for other teams that like Ohio State, like that duel pops in my head. It's like I think it's almost more optimism. And then when Penn State wins, like, well, of course they won. They're Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, I think last year was the year that we weren't supposed to win, and we didn't really, we didn't get to play the whole thing out. But this year also, they're not supposed to win, but I think they will if they have their whole team and they wrestle. I think, they're gonna win. But
who has impressed you the most?
Who's impressed me the most? I mean, Nick Lee is like. He's just such a hammer. Aaron Brooks looked great last weekend too.
Do you know that my response would be Jolie?
Really?
He just every time he's out there, he looks like such a savage. Like I feel like for some of these, I don't want to say bigger names, really but strong. Like the Aaron Brooks, the Carters, you're expecting them to be so dominant. They've been so talked up. There's so much kind of hype around their names. And Jolie is a guy who's under the radar a little bit. Like it's Nick Lee's brother, but he is just like. He's establishing a name for himself in a dominant fashion.
He came out ranked 7th in the country or something like that. Like I don't know how you can overlook that. I think that's that was probably higher than me whenever I first started my freshman year. So like, and like obviously, rankings or whatever, but he's beaten, a lot of those guys already, even like last year and just like
Yeah.
opens and stuff like that. No, he's tough. He's scrappy. He's strong, dude.
He looks mean. He reminds me of Zayn, like that mean, like I'm a nice guy, but on the mat, I'm gonna like.
Zayn's a different level.
Like pain.
Zayn's a different level of nice off the mat, mean on the mat.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that with Zayn. His like mean on the mat, nice off the mat. I don't think there's anything equal to that.
That's the perfect example too.
Yeah,
like
that's the bar.
It really is the bar. And
any meaner on the mat, it translates off the mat. It just does. Like, or you're just. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that's like even close. I don't think there is.
Anthony Cassar. He gets pretty mean. And he just like, how he comes off like real, like comes off kind of just like loud and stuff, but he's like the nicest
Jersey.
But he is like the most like nice, like genuine dude.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, I love Anthony.
But, yeah, man. There was some ACC duels last night. I didn't really get to catch those,
we were at the house late. I didn't catch it, but I did see Sam Latona, who I think he's like ranked 8th, beat Jacob Camacho, who's ranked 4, and Virginia Tech got the upset over NC State. Like Virginia Tech was 8, and I think NC State's 3 maybe. Yeah, and they got the upset because of that.
I did see that. I mean, it's college wrestling. That's what's going to happen. Did you see though? This was, maybe a week ago or something like that. After the NC State UNC match with Hayden Hidley on Twitter.
I did. Remind me, what did it say? I remember the tweet. He was like talking.
It was with Kenny Monday. And I think Kenny Monday said something how he's like, Hayden's a great wrestler, but like he needs to win a title or else he's never going to be a great wrestler. He's good. It was something along
I didn't see that.
It was something
up right now.
It was something along those lines, but it wasn't like, I don't think it was like mean or anything like that, but Hayden's response was awesome.
I'm looking.
He compared him to Charles Barkley.
Here we
Charles
go.
Barkley is an awesome basketball player.
No argument there, but will he win a title? That's the question. Without that, he'll be like Charles Barkley. Even though there's some underlying that was Kenny Monday. Then Hayden responded, even though there's some underlying animosity behind this tweet, for whatever reason, I respect you as a legend of the sport. However, I'm comfortable with the legacy. I'll leave it and North Carolina State and don't care what anyone has to say. Here's a visual of Charles Barkley last night. Dunking.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought he was the man for that. I think he also does a really good job. That's another guy I think does a great job like on Twitter. Just like him, Trent, and like Gwiz, fan interaction, stuff like that.
Well, it's so interesting because we are in this new era where guys are going to come into college with being able to tweet before, during, and after a match. Like because they grew up like that. They did it through high school. And now you're seeing, I love it. Like when I see a wrestler, like I think we sent it to each other when an Iowa newspaper, website, something put out like 2 out of 3 of Tony Cassiope's last losses were from Gable Steveson. Gable quote tweets it tonight. I'm gonna give him his 4th. I love that.
Yeah. And then Gable's been awesome too.
I want to say his stock's up, but how does it go up? Like he's just in a different league right now.
Yeah, he really is. And he's been really exciting to follow too.
Yeah, he's into it. He's into the showmanship. He doesn't want to just win. He's into like the running off the mat. He's into like he's thinking not even just of winning. He's thinking, how do I cause a stir? How do I engage my fans? How can I entertain my fans? How can I bring more love to wrestling? Like he is really, I wish this wasn't his last year because I think he's like a star that we need.
I don't know. We might see him for a little while longer. He says that he'll be done. I hope he's not, just because I like watching him wrestle and he's really freaking good.
Yeah, you need those stars. You need those guys that are like just gonna come in and
And he's a cool cat too. So
Yeah, I like Gable.
We like Gable.
So what do you think the outcome is going to be of him, Mason Paris?
I think Gable will beat him by maybe 2 takedowns.
Okay.
Maybe like a 5-3, 2 takedown type match. I think Mason Paris is very good too, but I think Gable is great.
It would be a big task, don't get me wrong. But if Gable went out and won NCAAs, won the trials, and won an Olympic gold, his
then you hang it
stock
up.
for WWE,
Then you hang it up.
right? But like the amount of money he would get, like if his plan right now is to go to the WWE after this year, if WWE doesn't try to lock him in right now, like I know it's interesting because he's still in college, but that contract price goes way up if the next 5 months he becomes an NCAA champ, an Olympic champ. Like he could really do something special, and he could use that as big leverage against the WWE when negotiating.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he already is a top WWE prospect. He's big and can do flips, and he has that connection.
Oh, without a doubt.
Lesnar too. Yeah, like I think he's prime for that.
And a lot of the best pro wrestlers in the world don't care if you love them or hate them as long as they're producing some kind of reaction. They don't care if it's booing or if it's cheering. They just want the reaction. And I think Gable's going to be really, really good at that. I think Gable's going to be the ultimate heel. He can make a whole arena boo him in no time because he loves it. He just finds a way to do it.
It is kind of fun. I mean, it is what it is.
When do you think was the moment you were the biggest heel in your college career? Was there a time when you like, I can't think off the top of my head, but like when you, I'm trying to think if there was like an Iowa duel or what was the time you were like the bad guy?
Probably at Iowa last year.
That had to be, right? Did you do anything after the match? You didn't, right?
I tried high-fiving some fans.
Iowa fans?
Yeah. As I was running back to the tunnel, I put my hand out. I was trying to give high fives.
I heard Iowa fans cuss a lot at opposing teams.
I think they like me though. I think that deep down they like me.
Yeah, I know a couple Iowa fans, and I know that it's like you can't not like Cenzo. You just can't. Like you don't do anything, even if
prefer if they didn't. But you know.
But even if Penn State fans like didn't like, I didn't really care for Marinelli because of the rivalry. But now, like having a conversation with him, like he's a super cool dude. Like I can.
He wrestles. His wrestling's very respectable too, just because he wrestles hard. But I can understand that from your perspective. Just
I think I've said it many times. The number of times that like I'm surprised, like the Pletcher story, like Ohio State, it's like the number of time I'm seeing wrestlers train with each other and have these friendships based on where they're from or what they want to do. Like Roman, and I don't know if him and Sebastian Rivera like recently started that friendship, but when they were training together last year for a couple weeks, like
I don't like I'm all for training with other people and stuff, but like after a guy beats me in Big Ten finals, I'm not gonna like hit him up and like go be buddies with him. Like I don't know that.
I don't have the humility to do it.
I don't know. Like I'm not gonna like DM Alex Marinelli and be like, let's train, dude. Like I don't want that, and I don't think he wants that either. So like,
yeah, well, you guys are still like in. I don't know. I guess Roman and Sebastian aren't going to be in the same weight, but I don't know how much of a difference that makes. Like you and Marinelli, you and IMR, like these rivalries are still going to take place. Like they could still be 74-kilo matches at the trials, whereas I don't know Roman and Seabass, but I get what you're saying. Like wrestling someone who just beats you, like I don't have the humility for it.
It's hard to do that. Like be buddies with someone after that and like, hey, like let's get better.
Who are you buddies with that most people would be surprised by?
Buddies with?
Not buddies, but like
I don't know. Well, I mean, me and Cameron go way back.
Yeah, but that's not like a surprise. Like, oh, I'm surprised you guys are friends.
I don't know.
Boys.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I stick to my PA guys for the most part. Like I feel like I'm pretty friendly with a lot of wrestlers. I don't know.
Yeah, who was I? I remember.
I don't really dislike people.
Yeah.
I try not to.
One more college wrestling thing I want to talk about.
Let's do it.
The scoring in penalty points.
Yeah, crazy.
So I saw Doug Schwab got deducted a team point last night for wearing a full zip on the bench.
Yeah, you should be able to.
What? I don't understand that. What is the penalty?
I don't like dress code violation. Like you have to wear like dress clothes. You can't wear like.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you can't wear jeans or anything like that. I think it's kind of stupid because you see football coaches. You can't wear a hat or anything if you're coaching in a corner.
I looked at it quickly, but I thought he was wearing a dress shirt and he was just wearing it over it. Like, I'm cold. Let me throw this on. It didn't seem like he was just.
No, yeah, you can't even do that. You could do like a quarter zip, I think, but I don't think you can do like a full zip or like a sweatshirt or anything. Like, it's kind of silly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw the other one. I can't remember what duel it was, but I want to say it was Nebraska maybe last week. Why are my dogs going nuts? Oh my gosh. I don't know if someone's here. I think Nebraska got deducted a team point last week for throwing headgear, and it wasn't. And that seems like very subjective because after you win a match, like, it's not like you're throwing it in a fit. It's not like you're throwing it at someone. It was like he just took it off, and he's got a lot of adrenaline. He just big match. I think it's getting out of hand.
I think so too. And other sports. What other sport do they deduct team points? None. And we were actually talking about this at practice like yesterday, and just the whole headgear throw and everything like that. And I go to and like. Kyle was there and I was like, yeah, didn't you get a team point taken at nationals? He was like, yeah, I tossed my headgear to someone in the stands and they took a point after he won. I was like, that's crazy.
I remember when Bo beat Miles.
It was the same year. Yeah.
Yeah. He threw his headgear. I remember Cal goes, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah. No, he got a point taken too.
Yeah.
They both got, so
I remember Cal went instantly from like celebrating to like, no, what are you doing? Don't throw that.
Yeah. Cause that team title could have been in jeopardy a little bit.
I think they need to take the ability to take away points like that out of the ref's hands. I don't know what first of all, the penalty is stupid and needs to go. I don't know what the answer is to how you change it.
I don't know either. It can't be a 15-yard penalty for excessive celebration. So I don't know. You got to do something, but I don't think taking team points is the answer.
No, see, it is interesting. Like 15 yards for football, right? Like, what's the equivalent of that? Like, they wouldn't take a.
You can't give a technical and give a free throw, right?
Right. Like there's got to be a wrestling equivalent. I don't know what it is, but you can't just imagine like winning field goal and then you get a point taken away. Other team drives down and gets a field goal, wins by 1.
Yeah, because you took your helmet off on the field.
And NFL fans would revolt. And Goodell's just a goner. So if Goodell doesn't have rules like that, there's no reason that in the NCAA, especially in wrestling.
Yeah, I think that, there's people who can think of something better than we can, I'm sure.
Yeah. By the way, if you're listening, tweet us. Yeah, let us know what you think. Like,
yeah, give us some real suggestions. Maybe we'll toss it out to the NCAA, see what they think.
There was somebody who was actually, I don't know if he's on some committee, he was tweeting out, like, what do you guys think of rule changes, or what exciting rule changes do you want to see in folk style? I don't know who he was.
3-point takedowns and feet to backs for sure.
Yeah, I like that. I'd
falls.
also be in favor of a push out rule in folk style. No,
I don't want to push out.
I think it would make it more interesting from a fan standpoint.
I think so too, but I think that they should just get more consistent with the edge stalling rules in folk style as opposed to a push out. I think if they enforce the edge stalling rules like appropriately, then they could be very effective.
Yeah, it's so nobody understands it. Like we talked about right after the Gilman Gross match. Like,
yeah, that's freestyle. That's even different,
right?
Being grounded and stuff like that. I don't understand that ever. Typically, I mean, whether you're grounded or you're up, I think it's just based off the ref.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Also, I saw some very spotty like back point like calls and such over the weekend from college wrestling. I don't know. It's just like it was just very inconsistent.
I saw so many tweets. I've been like completely off the grid working on this house, but when I like open up Twitter, that's what I see so much of. It's just complaints. And there's always complaints about the refs, but this year it's like more than ever.
Oh, they're probably just as rusty as the wrestlers.
You think that's what it is, though?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, like, what else can it be? It's not like the referees just all of a sudden got worse, unless they're new guys or something. But
if you're a referee and you're rusty, you should watch a match and try to score it. Like you can just like put on a match and just score it in real time and see if you disagree. Like, I feel like you can do things to keep up on the rules.
Reffing's hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. I remember doing it like a couple times in high school.
Yeah.
Like, I think you guys do it too, right? Or you
did
at Penn State?
We've had to do it for camps and stuff for years. Yeah, it's not fun. Like I don't enjoy doing it.
That was my first thing about commentating or asking live questions, because all I do is like say how stupid so many questions are, and now I got to do it, and I'm sitting there. It's like, and that was
don't be stupid,
right? And you're like telling yourself, don't do it, which you always mock and make fun of. Don't do it.
I 100% though, if I were you, would have like first interview, like, hey, you got some time?
I don't get nervous for a lot of stuff, but that was like it was something so new, and everybody was like, "You're gonna kill it! You're gonna kill it! You're gonna kill it!" I'm like, "But what if I don't?"
So whenever I did the commentary for our December match, that's kind of how I felt. Also, everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna do great." I'm like, not a ton, probably not. And I think I did a pretty good job. I didn't listen to you. I mean, I'm sorry, but
yeah, I didn't either. And I think it went good in retrospect. It was just, it was very stressful sitting there through each match. You couldn't even I couldn't really enjoy the match because you're thinking of storylines. You're thinking of what's the most interesting question to either make the wrestler give a good answer or to get the fans something out of it. Because I know when I hear these interviews where it's just, the NCAA ones are usually like that, where it's like you're so excited for the wrestler, and unless it's like a Bo Nickel, that's what we do type thing, so many of them, it's just like, and they're like asking more and more. Like, I didn't want to do that. Like, I was trying to tell these guys beforehand, like, take a minute and breathe. We got like 10, 15 seconds before you have to talk.
Yeah, like NCAAs, you walk off the mat and like dude's right in your face, and he's like, "What were you thinking while you were wrestling?" And you're like, "I was thinking about wrestling. I was thinking about not being tired and just pushing through."
Yeah,
those interviews are always kind of funny.
And I didn't want to be
huffing and puffing.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be on that side of it specifically. I didn't want to. And then I think it came out good. It was very stressful to watch those matches and try to. And like I said, then when you're invested in it too, like your match, and now I'm like preparing for both sides, like, it's. And then I'd say the most exciting match was the two women that wrestled, and
that was a good match.
Awesome match. Yeah. But the woman who won spoke very, very little English. But I was super excited because similar to, I think Jane Valencia has a young daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this girl has a daughter. And I'm like, that match opened up the crowd. Everybody was so excited after that match. And I was asking her, like, how much did it mean to you to be able to put on a show like this and train when you have a young daughter watching you? Like, you're showing your daughter anything's possible. And I don't think she fully understood me. She was just like, training twice a day. Everything's going good, on the path to the Olympics or whatever she said. And I'm just like, oh, there's so much here.
Hey,
but that was my first language barrier issue.
That's going to happen. I mean, hey, you keep doing more interviews, you're going to get a lot more of those.
Right.
That's not a bad thing. All right. I'm going to shift topic a little bit. Tomorrow, tomorrow. Who you got?
I saw a good meme that showed somebody putting hot sauce in their eye rather than watching Brady and Mahomes as a Bills fan, because you got Brady who, like, the Bills fans.
Can't you just appreciate the greatness?
No, not with these two quarterbacks. Normally I can. Normally I can. This year, I think, especially for Bills, like, I don't know who to root for. I don't really want to root for.
I'm rooting for a great game.
I can't root for the Chiefs, not if they beat the Bills. It's very hard to root for Brady because the guy just wins every freaking time. And as a Bills fan,
you root for Penn State wrestling.
Yeah, that's different.
No, it's not.
That's different in the sense that for me, being in football, I'm a Bills fan. Brady's like being a Penn State fan, but you got to factor in the Bills. That'd be like if I'm an Iowa fan or I'm somebody else rooting for Penn State.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the,
I'm a Steelers fan, and like I have a ton of respect for Brady and Mahomes. Like I think.
So who are you rooting for?
I got to look at the sports book and see what the lines tell me.
I was literally just typing that in.
I gotta look at the lines.
Let me see.
Shoot, I don't know. I want to see a shootout. I don't care who wins. I just want to see a good game.
I do want to see a good game. It looks.
I would like to see like a game-winning drive by Mahomes, and then he just takes over.
If it's a game-winning drive, I'd rather it be Brady.
I'd rather Mahomes win a game-winning drive, and then like.
So many people mock Brady.
Yeah, he's awesome. Like he's so good though, and he's just like. He's so disciplined. Like he could play, he can keep playing for as long as he wants at this point. Like he takes such good care of himself.
So Tampa Bay. Oh, Chiefs are -3.
That's what I thought.
Chiefs -3 over under 55.5. Brady.
I think I'm
Tampa
Bay. I think I'm gonna go all Chiefs.
Brady Tampa Bay team points over under 27. Kansas City team points over under 30.
That's pretty good. I just like that after AFC Championship game, they're all the Chiefs were still on the field. They were doing interviews and stuff, and they were asking Mahomes about Super Bowl, and he said, "We're just gonna go be ourselves out there and go let it rip." And I loved it. So,
did you see Stephon Diggs standing watching that?
Mm-hmm.
That got me right here with Sean McDermott hugging him. And I love McDermott. McDermott's the man.
He's great.
If you haven't listened to Sean McDermott, he was on this podcast last year, and I was giddy for that conversation. Like giddy.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job too.
He is. I think between him and Josh Allen, the Bills' future is bright.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have a bunch of great weapons, too. Talking football on a wrestling podcast.
Well, hey, I mean, that's anything goes. It's coffee talk. That's what happens when you drink coffee.
It's coffee talk, sure. I just finished mine, actually. So, like.
So did I.
Dang. Ooh, is that the mug?
No, this is just an espresso cup.
Yeah,
but,
I was about to say, your hands are huge if that's the mug.
But, funny enough, I did just see on my camera a FedEx package when the dogs were barking 10 minutes ago. I think it was the mugs.
Nice. I can't wait to see those. Get a little visual. Hopefully next time we do this, actually not hopefully, next time we do this, I'll definitely be drinking out of one of them.
Yeah, we have to. And if you haven't bought a Coffee Talk mug yet, go to baschamania.com/shop, buy a Coffee Talk shirt, buy a mug, support the podcast.
With that being said, also, I do need to make a statement. I will be taking a short break from the week.
I'm gonna edit in booze.
Yeah, you can edit it. You can edit in all the booze you want, but I'm gonna pop in every once in a while. I just need a little more focus on my wrestling rather than being a fan and just analyzing it. So I think it'll be most beneficial for me if I take a little break from this until at least after the trials, and then maybe pop on once a month or something like that. Drink a lot of coffee,
Yeah, and
a little bit.
I think that's people listening have to understand too that you're in the prime quest right now for an Olympic and world title. And especially in these couple months when you're focused and training and you have all these events coming up, like you're going to compete in at least one match, an LWC card, last chance qualifier, Olympic trials. And doing this podcast takes a lot of work. It's a lot of mental prep. It's a lot of coordinating different guests. It's a lot of paying attention to stuff so that you can paying attention to something as a fan and then paying attention sometimes to have a dialogue about it are two different things. Sometimes they go, sometimes, sometimes they do go hand in hand. But in order to have a conversation like this, it takes preparing for the other person's opinion. It takes a lot of planning. So I get it. Like even last week, that's why there was no episode. I had to go to and from Philly and we got everything going on with the house. The minute we got back last week from Philly, I literally had a guy here with a big box truck waiting to move appliances. Like I got back at 11:15.
All gas, no break.
Yeah.
Just full go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to shoot for at least one episode of Baschamania a week. It does get tricky this time of year because this is a podcast based around the best wrestlers in the world. And as people are preparing for the biggest matches of their career, a lot of times it's like head down, time to focus. So hopefully I can catch some people after events. And hopefully if there's times where there's guests and Cenzo can hop on for some coffee talk. But I mean, the next couple of months, the focus has to be the Olympic trials. So coffee talk's not going anywhere. But for those of you who
actually, I think I'm going to focus on building my brand the next few months, and you know, I'll worry about the wrestling part. Will take care of itself.
I love to hear it. So I know a lot of you love coffee talk. I love some of the reviews. By the way, if you haven't left a review on Apple, there's some dirt bags who leave a 1-star review. I don't know why they never leave a comment. It's just like, I'm going to be a dick.
Hey, if you have a 1-star review, tell me how you feel. Maybe it's something it's something we can work on. You know, we're two very open-minded guys that are open to criticism.
Right.
If you leave a 1-star review, tell us why.
Yeah, and I love the honesty. Like there was a review a couple days ago. I think the most recent one was a guy who said, I'm going to pull it up. I didn't listen to this until Cenzo joined, but now I look forward to this every week from Yugi. Nice. The username. But that's great. You know, I love those. So the more feedback, if you guys haven't left a review, go leave a review. We need to get rid of those 1-stars with no feedback, but you know, I know like not last week, the week before, we had 2 episodes of Coffee Talk back to back. I have the most fun doing that. The episode with us and Sarah on, I think was maybe my favorite yet. So I'm excited for more. Baschamania is not going anywhere, so make sure to subscribe, buy some Coffee Talk merch. Also, I think the more people tag you in Coffee Talk merch post, the more excitement you'll have to want to do more episodes. So if you want Cenzo to do more episodes, tag him. Let's see if that works.
And buy more merch.
Yeah, buy more. Yeah, merch, definitely. Like, guys, think about this. Cenzo's competing, and he's in a quest to win an Olympic gold. That takes a lot of focus. That takes a lot of discipline. He also has to fund all of that. NLWC helps, doing matches helps, but he has to fund that. So if you're a fan of the show, like, here's an idea. Even if you don't want the shirt, buy one. Just buy one. Send it to someone, or tell us to pick someone and we'll send it. So if you buy a shirt and you don't want it, that's fine. Just buy it and write a note like, I bought one, send it to somebody you want.
Yeah. Definitely do that. Like as many shirts as you want to buy to send to people is cool. Like mugs too. Yeah, if you want to buy like a dozen mugs and just send them to your friends, you know.
Right.
Good little gift.
Yeah. And I know some people were asking for Coffee Talk travel mugs. So we're gonna see how these mugs do. And once we get through these, we'll probably start working through that. But yeah, support the show, support Cenzo. Follow me. Don't follow him.
You can follow me. It's okay.
All right.
I'm all right with it now.
Follow Cenzo. He's posting more. If you haven't noticed, he's posting pre-match photos, post-match photos. He's posting photos.
We're doing the whole shebang now.
I love it. Any final words for episode 100?
No, I'm gonna miss doing this every week for sure. Yeah, I like doing the show.
I'm not going to try to distract you, but I'm going to try to say like, dude, so-and-so wants to come on this weekend. Do you want to hop on for this episode?
And I think that like what we were talking about too, like not just like watching wrestling, but watching wrestling to discuss it. Like,
yeah, it's different.
I've been like focused, like analyzing matches just so that like whenever it comes up, I can talk about pretty much whatever. And that's just too much for me right now. I gotta worry about my own wrestling.
Yeah, it's a lot. I encourage people to start a podcast. I think it's a great thing to grow a brand. I think if you do mortgages for a living, I think you should have a podcast around something you love and you can work in selling mortgages. Like, podcasting is great, but it is a lot of work. It is not just turn on a mic. There's editing involved, there's production, there's graphics, there's promotion. There's so much that goes into it. There's criticism, there's fan engagement, there's responding to people. There's a lot. So it definitely takes, and as I move right now and as I'm doing so much, I'm being like, my commitment is being tested, but I won't be defeated.
It really, yeah. And hey, that's how I felt too after my match last week. I was like, my commitment's just being tested right now. Yep. So just right back on the horse.
I love it. Awesome. That's episode 100. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Rockfin, but subscribe to the NLWC. So subscribe to the NLWC and then follow Baschamania. I want NLWC to get the main vig.
We appreciate that.
Awesome.
All right.
See you guys.
Okay, take care.
And that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you did enjoy this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave a 5-star rating review on Apple Podcasts and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more episodes. For more wrestling content, be sure to follow Baschamania on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And follow me. I'm at JBash on Instagram and at JustinJBash on Twitter.
And the beat goes on.